There are 8 basic principles that wildland firefighters need to adhere to design a program specific to their needs. Understand the basic foundational principles of training, and you'll be safer, you'll train more effectively, you'll be a better firefighter.
Oftentimes for people, it's just a simple mantra. I got this, no problem, let's do it. Come up with something that pretty succinctly and pretty quickly helps motivate you. It's positive, that you can say to yourself on repeat if necessary, to help just kind of affirm to that inner critic that you can handle it.
Well, we've done a lot of work with people doing different load carriage kinds of experiments. How can they move them around maybe more effectively, and what are some of the energetic expenditures, muscle effects of having to perform with different kinds of backpacks.
Wildland firefighters need to stay physically active year-round, because if you become too detrained, you have too far to get to. Find a starting point and progress really gradually. Don't get there all at once. What elite athletes do, and what you guys need to do, because you are the pinnacle of workforce endurance athletes, is about 20% of your time is high intensity. That means doing a higher intensity than you currently can sustain. So you can only do it for short periods of time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The other 80% of your time needs to be done at a sustainable intensity that your current level of fitness, you can keep going all day. The rule of specificity says that you have to do movement specific to what you're going to be doing.
So the best way to do that is actually just go out and do crew hikes, with the full gear, full weight, chaps, chainsaws, packs, all that stuff. And I think that's probably the most beneficial thing to get people in shape for the job itself.
The evaluations that you will get from the tests will give you specific goals that can guide your training and help you develop a training program specific to your individual needs.
One of the things that we seek to do with this program is to provide the flexibility to allow people who are already very, very engaged in their physical training to continue to do that in a safe way, but also provide structure for people who may not be as active and don't have the same background to be able to achieve the levels that they need to be an effective resource on the line. We have to be able to adjust to the demands of both seasonal and full-time workers who are going to have varied amounts of time when they're not on the line in order to be able to engage in PT. And we want that time to be effective. We don't need to be out for 3 hours a day working on aerobic or cardiovascular types of activities. We can be a little bit more systematic, and we can use some of the newest science that tells us that we don't need that length of time in order to achieve the same kind of benefits to the aerobic system and the cardiovascular system that are going to power the endurance efforts that are largely what the wildland firefighter needs over the course of their job.
Principle number 8, our final principle, is simply maintenance of training. It takes less to maintain than it did to get to where you wanted to be.
The consistency that's necessary in order to achieve high levels of fitness and high levels of strength. And that'll benefit you both in terms of your job as well as across the rest of your lifespan.
Well, wildland firefighters are primarily endurance athletes with adequate strength to be able to do the work. The line digging, the hiking, the hose lay, the Sawyer work, everything that goes with being an effective wildland firefighter.
So when it comes specifically to the black, a lot of the work that we've done is focused on the very ends of performance. What happens to people right at the minutes of exhaustion, and what kinds of intensities are necessary to elicit failure, and maybe things like how long can you go at different types of percentages of exhaustive efforts. And so much of that information we've been able to use in terms of trying to develop programs and think about things from the standpoint of what kinds of intensities people should be active at as they engage in the training program to try and produce something that's both effective and provides the kinds of specificity that the firefighters need in order to be able to perform the demands of the job.